What's new for macOS development with SwiftUI? I'm going to, in this video, talk about the new features that are coming with macOS 15 that they announced during WWDC24. They actually added quite a bit of stuff. You can also see this because there are two dedicated talks to Windows. One is work with Windows in SwiftUI, and the other one is tailor macOS Windows with SwiftUI. So this is specifically for macOS. You can also see here one screenshot from one of this presentation that gives an overview of all of these APIs for window management. But I also want to show you a couple of new updates coming for managing keyboard input. The new tab view, which is probably not so interesting for macOS, but for cross-platform development makes it a little bit easier. And also some of the bug fixes that help you in the future to build macOS apps. I want to give you the information update for macOS so you can decide in the future. Maybe you have an existing macOS app and you're deciding what to add and what to change, or you're thinking of building your own macOS app so you know what is actually possible. Maybe how much easier will it be, or what advanced features that you were looking for are now finally available with SwiftUI. These features that I'm going to introduce to you, a lot, especially for the Windows stuff, are also available for visionOS, and I actually think it's more the opposite direction, that because I put so much effort into visionOS, they also bring it to macOS. So if you are interested in visionOS, because it's a spatial computer, this knowledge that I'm presenting you here, some of it is also relevant for visionOS. I'm not an expert in visionOS, so I'm not going to talk much about it. I'm just showing you some of the highlights that I really like. Additionally, I'm going to leave a list of the WWDC talks and the resources, the demo projects that they supplied in the description box. If anything that I'm discussing here interests you, then please leave a comment to tell me which one you want to know more about, and then in the future I can make more videos about these. I'm going to show you these projects, and I installed Xcode 16 and macOS 15, which is a beta version. We'll see how much these APIs change during the beta updates until it's then finally released in autumn. Okay, now let's have a look at the window management features. So I will go through this list. So the first one is default ideal and window placement. I'm going to use the destination video projects. This is a demo project from Apple where they showed a lot of these features. Also, this is related to the talks. And you can define windows with window group. And to each window, you can either use frames to say how large they can be, so how they're reframing, resizing. In this case, it's a minimum, maximum, so you can actually stretch the content. But a lot of the times you want to have a specific size when a new window of this type is created. Now I think they added this here with this player window. In order to decide the position of the window when they are created, you can use default position. This is already available since macOS 13. So in this case, this is the default in the center. But you could also say top, trailing, top, leading, or you can use a unit point system to say 0.25 and 50. So this would be then 0.5. This would be in the Y direction is in the center, and in the X direction it's 20% aligned. Same for the default size, but for both of these you have a fixed size and a fixed predefined position. A lot of the times you might want to decide the sizing depending on the content of this window or the screen size. And now with this window ideal window, actually there's two modifiers. It is default window placement, and here you get the content. So this is the same styling as for the other one here. You can use the context default displays visible rect. So this is the visible area of your screen without the menus and without the launch bar. And then you can also get the contents. So this is the whatever you put in a window, contents saying which size would fit this. Here they made a little bit more calculation of, because this is a video with a certain aspect ratio, and they want to use the aspect ratio of the video to decide how large this window is supposed to be. The difference between ideal and default window placement is ideal is when you do the resizing. So when you go on the window zoom, then it's using this one. So you can have different default and ideal sizes. Let's just test this. Go in one of these views and press here play window. This is opening a new window. As you see here, it's a new window with a certain aspect ratio for this video, and this window has exactly this size. If you have an external display like I use, then it should be bigger. I really like this because a lot of the times you want to have more customization of how things are appearing. So being able to dynamically decide the position and size of this window is a very nice feature. Then what you also see for this example is that I don't have here a toolbar or a title of this window. So there's two different possibilities to write this. One, you can add a toolbar removing title. This is just removing the title of the window. You can also use a toolbar background visibility to say it is hidden. This is then taking away this. And you can also use then ignore save areas so that the content moves up to the top if I disable these. And run this again. Detail, start a player. Now you see I have the toolbar with the title up there. Then they added some fancy things here because they used on Hoover to show some of this title and buttons. I said you can hide this with view modifiers. This is useful. Maybe you have multiple screens and only for some screens you want to do this and not for others. If you want to do this for the whole window, you can use window style and use here hidden title bar. There's some of the things that are making it a little bit difficult because sometimes it's modifiers that are applied to the window scene or to views, and then it's like, why is it here, not there? But it looks like they really try to do this. Okay, now I did hide here my title. The other thing is you can use a plane, so now you don't have a border anymore for this window. I think I should have still used the ignore save area. Play a window. And now you see I don't have here shadow or anything or a rounded area. Okay, I also lost my toolbar and my buttons. This allows you to just do a lot of customizations. Okay, I'm taking these ones out. Since we're already talking about the toolbar, this is the one, toolbar visibility. If it's hovering, then it's visible, and otherwise it's hidden for the window toolbar. And similar, you can now use modifiers to hide certain buttons. Maybe you don't want to allow the user to resize this window or to close this window. This is behavior, window resize behavior. You can say this is the resize button. Disabled, let's see. So there's 3 modifiers for the 3 buttons. Now I can't resize this because this button is also disabled. This is the minimize button. And this is the close button. So maybe you have an onboarding flow and you don't want the user to close this. So this is the window, dismiss, behavior disabled. And now I can't dismiss this window anymore. You can then toggle this behavior. Maybe you only attach it to certain views. And then the last view doesn't have this. And then you can close this windows again. So this is quite a nifty little thing. So you can do resizing, dismiss, and minimize. Window minimize behavior disabled. So again, these are attached to views. Let's go back to this overview. I showed you here this borderless windows by using a window style of plane. The toolbar customizability of do you show or hide the toolbar. This is also what they used. Actually, I should show you where they used it. Here, this is a navigation split view with the sidebar and the detail. And the detail, you see, there's no toolbar here, so they're just hiding this. This window is still having a title. If you go under the window, here, this window is still destination video. Then enabling and disabling window controls. This is this button here for minimize close that you can now modify. Or the behavior you can change. Then there's 2 more here that, before I go to the other ones, is the window background customization. Because sometimes you want to have a different background color. And this is done with the container background color. So you can also make a window clear or use a transparent effect. The state restoration. Every time you use your app and then you resize this windows. Then the user closes these apps, and then we run again. The same window, as you see, this window appeared in the same size, this one window, same position. This means that all the windows are restored on launch. If you, for some reason, don't want to have the user to keep this, maybe they use an example of the About window, which I didn't here add. This is the default About window. Maybe for one of these windows, you don't want to have this state restoration. You want to go back to the default. Actually, they use this here for this player window. You can opt out of this restoration behavior by saying restoration behavior disabled. This is also good if you want to test your default and ideal window placements and the sizes, because then you just add this and run again, because otherwise you need to delete user default and then do this again. So just for testing, you can also add this. Okay, now let's go to the other stuff they actually didn't talk so much about, which are different windows. So I said we have this borderless windows, but we also have floating windows. You can say the window level, the normal one, you have normal, desktop, which is in between, and floating is the floating window. Let's demo this. Okay, I need to open one of these windows. I disabled the resizability. So this is the floating one, this is on top. If I now here press on the other one, you see it is in focus. I have here the sidebar that is transparent, but it's below the other one, because this is floating, this is staying always on top. This is actually a style that I was missing for macOS. Where would you actually want to use this? This is more like for secondary windows. In Pages, I can select a text, and then here under text color, I can either press here and use this popover, or I can press on the color wheel, which brings up a floating window with these color options. And here I can then change the text. This is a floating window, which you see if I here continuously work on something in my document, I'm still seeing this color panel because this is on top. So this is one very useful utility window style that I want to keep always visible, because this kind of floating windows as utility windows is so useful. They also added a special window scene type. This is a utility window with title and ID. ID, let's just use utility text utility. So this is a special window that also uses this floating style. It's a secondary utility to the content of the main scene. You can use this to show display controls, as I said, this color settings or information. This is like an inspector window or tool palette. We already have the inspector sidebar. So this would be, instead of this as a sidebar, you would have a separate window. They added some special behaviors to this. You see here, this is this floating style. Some of this is they hide when the window is no longer active. This didn't really work properly for me. Maybe this is coming a little bit later. And the main thing that I'm struggling to get working is if I have a utility window, as you saw for the text editing, I need to be able to understand which scene these information are connected to. Here, when I select a different color, I need to pass this information to this window where I have the text, so I can update the rich text here. This connection here, I could not manage to work. You're supposed to be able to use also focused values that connects then to the focused scene, because maybe you have multiple windows open. The one that is in focus, the key window from AppKit, the one that you are interacting with, that information should be passed to this utility window. There has been quite a few problems with focus in the past. This is, for example, when I add here commands, so menu items, where I need to pass information back and forth. This was a little bit of a struggle. It's working pretty well now for me. But this is the early beta, so I'm still very hopeful. So yeah, this is a great new addition. Then they also added new alert scenes. This is a standalone. Okay, let's just say it's shown. Are you sure? So you have here a binding to this. It's not showing. Yeah, now it's coming. You see, this is a standalone window here, this one. before you had a view modifier alert that is attached to a window. But this one is on top of all the other windows. It's a special window. As long as this one is open, I cannot interact with the other ones. You see, it doesn't do it. Only once I close this, now I can go here again. I did this here with a constant, but you could have here a state property in your whole app that decides, do you want to show this alert or not? This make the people stop doing whatever they want, what they were doing before. You can also, because you saw there was the icon, you can change the icon that is shown in this alert with the dialog icon modifier. So maybe you can also show a normal image. Maybe something went wrong or something customization, or maybe they're not logged in. You need to make them do something special. So you see now this is this one alert scene that is on top of everything else. You can then add here multiple buttons or interactions. As you saw, now I did show this always. You can also, because as you see I have here a lot of windows, which ones do I show, which ones are the main ones. You can also add a default launch behavior to say, should this window type be present when the application launches? Or should it be suppressed? So then you can say the first time the app launches, maybe you have a welcome scene that you want to show. Then you want to show the welcome scene, you can use this. Or some of them, they are suppressed, there may be the full window apps. So this is nice. They also had some similar things for document apps. This document launch scene, you can specify different views, the background views, the accessory views, the overlay accessory. So this is different. For example, here they have a document launch view where they have a different view when the user doesn't have anything, or the document editor if it's from URL. Then there's also different launch scenes. If I, for example, open pages and I don't have a document opened last time, it shows me a different one. This is the template selector where I can create a new document. So this would be then this scene used, or this window style would be used if I don't have anything previously, and the other one, the editor, if I have something. Standalone alert dialogs, this is these alert scenes. Then what I did not show you is the window dismissal dialogs. This means sometimes you, instead of, I showed you how to prevent the user from closing a window, but sometimes when the user closes a window, you want to show an alert. Let's say to my main content, I want to add now a dismissal confirmation dialog. This is to a view. So maybe only in some of the views that are in the scene, you want to actually show this. This is shown on the alert style. Are you sure? Presented true. Actions. You can show some buttons. Yes. Maybe you want to save something. Or maybe the user has a document open and you want to make sure that he doesn't lose this data. So are you sure you want to stop now? I still have my alert. If I close this, this is now showing the are you sure dialog. It's like, are you sure you want to stop now? With my cancel, then I will go back and see this. And my save button, if I press the save button, the button action is executed, maybe the save action, and this window closes actually. This is also very nice. So we can prevent closing and we can do something before the user closes the window. Alert dialogs, sharing behavior, I'm not really sure. This might be something related to the problems I already had with these utility windows. Background customization, floating windows. The drag gesture is just if you want to allow the user to drag windows, allow them to become active when you're dragging them. The restoration behavior we had with the window size and position that are stored or not. And then the window management roles, the last one, which I don't think they have. So to each window, you can attach a window role, management role. Yeah, the amount of modifiers to this is getting a little bit too much. Window role, just keeping an overview. So we can say associate, automatic, or principal. So basically you can have one principal window style and then associate, so secondary windows. This is related to how the windows are placed and sized. And the first window defined is the usually principal one, and all the other one are associated, but maybe you want to have also the second one as principal. At least, I mean, the documentation, at least they have some information in the documentation, not just declarations. Although I would like to have more information about this ones, if it's like a custom behavior. This was a rundown of all the new Windows stuff. As you see, it's quite a lot and it's very impressive how much they added. I'm looking forward to really use this in autumn probably, because I know that not everybody has macOS 15, the beta versions installed. So even if I do a tutorial, you probably won't be able to follow me so much. At least you now saw how this is actually used in an app. Then they added more modifiers to do something when the user presses the keyboard. For example, you can use the modifier key alternate to replace this button with another one. So this can be two different buttons. Existing is here this keyboard shortcuts to any button, but if you use these ones, the button action would be executed. Then you can use on modifier key changed. This is then executing a closure whenever something is entered in the keyboard. You get the old and new keys, so this is an array. For example, if any of the keys contains a command, I change the show alignment property to true. That then shows here this alignment guides. If I now press the command, you see this red area, these red lines. One example in the Sketch app, if you hold down the Option button and then you hover over one of these elements, you can see the distances to other elements. So you see now, okay, there's 39 points in this direction, 27, and so on. So this is good for easily seeing the alignment of these views. Maybe showing additional information, the size of certain things, the fonts, showing some other views, custom options. You could also change the mouse pointer if you want to. You can change the pointer with the pointer style. You can also change the pointer visibility to hidden in case somebody hovers over these views or moves over these views. Pointer style. Frame resizable. For bottom trailing, let's just test this. These are different icons. This is the resizable icon for the bottom trailing because the arrow is in this direction. You could change this depending on where the mouse is actually hovering, over which edges. Maybe you have some alignment points. This is similar to in Sketch. You have here these anchor points, and whenever you hover over one of them, this mouse pointer is different to say bottom trailing, bottom leading, and so on. Or if I, for example, create a new artboard, I have now this crosshair. This one you can also then set. You can still use the on hover stuff. There's a lot more things going on with the keyboard and modifiers that are already available before. There's a lot of things you can do, but it's definitely worth it to add some modifiers, keyboard shortcuts, and pointers. This is probably just unusual if you come from iOS, you're never used to this kind of stuff, so it's difficult to get a hang of this. Another important update coming for SwiftUI 6 with iOS 18 and macOS 15 is the new tab view style. So first of all, you don't have here this tab items anymore. You're using a different initializer. For tab, you would specify, for example, the system icon and these views. So here they defined multiple of them, with some of them static and some of them are dynamic, where they here use it for each. This is for these collections. As you see, I use a tab view, but I see sidebar. This is because they used here special styling, which is tab view of sidebar adaptable. If you take this out, it's again using the normal tab view that shows on top. Also, it depends if you use the default visibility stuff for showing the tab view or not, the toolbar or not. For iOS, this is actually more interesting. If you run the same app on the iPad, you have here this tab bar, this new one on top, and I can expand this to the sidebar. On macOS, you always have the sidebar, you never have the tab bar on top. This is also customizable. This is pretty cool and takes much more advantage of the space. Unfortunately, you don't have any of these on macOS. It's just always a sidebar. We'll see, maybe they add this if people really want it. But nevertheless, if you have a cross-platform app, going from iOS, going from the iPhone, it will still be the old tab bar on the bottom. On the iPad, you saw it's like this navigation split view with a tab bar option, and then on macOS, it's always the navigation split view. So if you have a cross-platform app, this is great because now you don't need to write so many different versions of the same code. Quite nice. Then the other thing that always annoys me with macOS is that we don't have nice animations for transition in the navigation stack. So for example, on iOS, you can push a view on top and it nicely slides in with an animation. This doesn't work on macOS. With the new SwiftUI, they added another way of doing this transition, which is a hero animation. For example, here in this app, video player app, if I select one of these cards, it nicely animates out and in. This transition is really nice. It also works in full screen mode. Unfortunately, this is not available for macOS. I was really looking forward to this one. It seems they have a general problem to do the animations on macOS with the transitions. This is unfortunate because it would make the user experience so much better. I will not give up hope. Maybe someday they're going to add this. Last, I want to go through the release notes. So this is the macOS Sequoia beta version release notes. It's always good to keep an eye on these, especially the SwiftUI section. You can go through this. There's some other things available. Here, again, they're talking about tab views. Also, now you can resize sheets. So it's not just one sheet size. For example, the dismiss action. So this is the environment property for dismiss. Previously, in older macOS version, it used to close the window. This is no longer the case. It will dismiss in the navigation split view, so it will go back one step. Or in the navigation stack, it will also go back one step, or it will close a sheet. So now, because of this change, if you want to dismiss a window, you need to use the environment property for dismiss window. A lot of these improvements or bug fixes related to data flow or updates, for example, on appear and disappear callbacks are more predictable. The scene phase on appear and on disappear callbacks behave now more predictable, whatever that is, when you use the window style for menu bar extras. I had this problem where I want to add a menu bar extra and always do an update when it opens again and never got called after the first one. So now I tested this and it works much better. Now it regularly actually calls here this on appear and on disappear. Then another thing that was very annoying is that the toolbar placement got a little bit out of hand sometimes, or because there were some bugs related to the principal, secondary action and the status placements. And now they're properly placed in their corresponding column. For example, you have a 3-column navigation split view and you want to add a principal toolbar item in the sidebar. If you do this, it's not putting it, you would expect it to go up here in this area directly in the same column, but it moves it to the main one, and it also moved here the sidebar toggle. So it's just completely wrong, as you see. This is the same behavior if you try to use the secondary action. It also moves it now directly. But now with macOS 15, they fixed this. If you add this item in the sidebar, it appears in the sidebar. If you move it in the content area, it's in the content area. And if you add all 3 of them, you have this properly here 3 columns now with this toolbar item. So you can now have really much more fine control where you place things. The same is for the secondary. This was also a problem. And the placement that gives you the most control, I found, is if you use primary and secondary, because secondary wasn't working properly now before, but now it is. So you can add in each column a primary and a secondary, and then they're either in the center, like the secondary, or on the trailing edge, like the primary here. So you have much more control of center and trailing. The last one that you can add with this one is the navigation. So that would be then in front of this window title. Then you have 7 different positions in these views that you can really fine control where things are moving. You can go through this, and the list of fixes is quite long, so I'm quite happy with this. There's still some unknown issues. You can have a look. Most of them have a workaround. So this is quite okay, but personally I think it got a lot more stable. They put a lot more effort into making SwiftUI work for macOS. With so much customizations for Windows, handling windows, making them appear different, having different kinds of windows. So I'm really happy with this update. And I think that now, or for the upcoming macOS 15, is a great time to make your own macOS app with SwiftUI. And the other important question is how many people will upgrade to macOS 15. And I think this is going to be quite high because we will have a lot of AI features in macOS, especially this rewrite texts in emails or rewrite for clarity or summarize text. These are very productive features that can speed up your workflow quite a lot. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to use this and take advantage of this. So let's keep our fingers crossed that the adoption rate is really high and we can very soon use all of these features in our production apps. Let me know in the comments how you see macOS development. Would you now go more for SwiftUI than before with AppKit? Especially with thinking of the amount of time it takes you to build a macOS app with AppKit. So please feel free to add a comment to share your upcoming projects or existing macOS apps with SwiftUI. What are your experiences with SwiftUI and macOS? Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful. If you want to learn more about SwiftUI with macOS development, I have a new course for macOS development specifically with SwiftUI. I will leave the link in the description box so you can check it out. There's still a discount running for WWDC, so take advantage of this. Because of these updates, I still have to improve and work on this course a lot. Thank you for watching. Until next time, happy coding!